Well, welcome back. The show keeps going here. We have another interesting show to offer now. Another interesting conversation with three of the young leaders, the UN young leaders for the Sustainable Development Goals. As you all know, yesterday we announced the first ever class of UN young leaders for the Sustainable Development Goals. 17 young leaders were chosen out of 18,000 nominations. They are a diverse group reflecting the richness of the youth talent and the diversity of the youth community as well. And I'm very pleased to have with me Nikki, Safa, and Ankit, who will be speaking about their work, why you have been awarded this, although I can speak for that too, since we have been part of this election and making sure that we have some of the brightest young individuals who are speaking and contributing to their communities. I'm going to just ask you to probably introduce yourself. I have read and reviewed your profiles and bios, and I have my own version for each one of your stories, but I would like to hear your stories, and if you could share with us, what do you think made you the representative who made it to the Young Leaders for Sustainable Development Goals?
Hello, everybody. My name is Nikki Fraser, and I am from Kamloops, British Columbia, Canada. And my work is in regards to really empowering and advocating for Indigenous women and girls back in Canada. The reason why I do that is because just the inequalities Indigenous women face day-to-day basis in Canada, and the injustice system when it comes to missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. I strongly want to end violence against Indigenous women and girls back in Canada. And I'm a youth representative for the BC Native Women's Association. And yeah, I was grateful to be nominated and still can't believe I'm one of the 17.
Fantastic. Well, we better do. So we have Safa. Tell us your story.
Hi, my name is Safa and I'm from the Maldives. I'm a women's rights activist in the Maldives, and my initial project, it began a couple of, 2 years back, and it's about empowering women in leadership. Coming from Maldives, from a Muslim community, from a 100% Muslim country, it was very important to start an advocacy to empower women in leadership and to create awareness for this issue. And so far it's been really good. I'm really honored to be here today, and let's hope for the best.
Cool. Ankit.
Sure. So, hi everybody. My name is Ankit Kawatra. I'm from India. I serve as the founder and chairman of a youth-run not-for-profit called Feeding India, which aims to solve hunger and malnutrition in India. For those of you who don't know, India has the highest number of undernourished people in the world, and hunger is a very big problem in India still. So my story goes when I was working in a business advisory firm right out of graduation, and I left my job to just quit my job one day and just started thinking of doing big things for everybody around the world. Yep.
Well, Ankit, let me follow up with a question. Almost 24 hours ago, we made the announcement of this brilliant 17 young leaders as UN Young Leaders for Sustainable Development Goals. But in the past 24 hours, there have been so many events. Tell me, how have been the past 24 hours for you?
Well, I think I don't have the right words to exactly say how I feel, because this does happen to be my first interaction at a global stage to talk about my work. It's just amazing. I mean, getting to know so many people, the other 16 young leaders, and you, of course, Emma, just getting to know the wonderful work everybody's doing. And I mean, it's just fascinating to be in the same building where, the President of the United States is speaking. I mean, it's amazing. It's insane. So it's, ridiculous. Thank you.
Just one more question, sure. Just to remind. This is your first presence at the international stage, but I would like you to listen in numbers. Just to speak in numbers, what you have been able to do in India. Tell me how many people benefited, how many volunteers you have, how many meals you served, in how many years?
Sure. So Feeding India started in 2014. So technically we just completed 2 years, and we've been able to serve. We just completed 1 million meals yesterday, so I'm very proud.
Oh wow!
And it's a great. It feels great. And we work with volunteers. So we have 2,000 volunteers in 28 cities of India. And my main vision is to get to 100 cities and get to that 10,000 volunteer mark. I think that's what really gets me going all the time. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. So let me go back to you, Nikki, and ask you, as an indigenous rights activist and as a young activist, you joined the youth caucus of the youth caucus at the Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, and you came and championed this agenda. You still recently interviewed the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, and you talked to him, and he echoed your message saying Indigenous life matters. Why do you think having the Indigenous issues being reflected and presented at the global stage is very important? And what do you intend to do in the next few months to ensure that more conversation will take place around the situation for Indigenous youth?
I think I've already started doing that at a global stage. I was elected as a youth representative in BC in May 2015, and it was a position where it was kind of mediocre, and I was just there to be there. And I felt like I had a platform, and I had a chance to utilize social media, use my voice, use my peers around me and get them to, step up and empower them, not just me, but I feel like I want to empower you to not follow me, but to stand beside me and uplift these goals with me. And being a part of the Indigenous Youth Caucus was another great experience. There's so many, I don't even know, there's so many intelligent, phenomenal young people in this world. Like, when I was at the Indigenous Youth Caucus, I couldn't believe, I was just in awe, and I'm like, is this your first time at the UN? And they're like, no, this is my 6th time. And I'm like, oh my God, it's my first. And I'm like, and how old are you? I'm 19. I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm 25 and this is my first time here. So it was a little intimidating, but now I'm happy to be back at the UN, and I'm very, very blessed and honored.
Tell me about your interview with Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. How did it go?
It was a 10-minute interview, and it was a one-on-one interview. It was just me and him in the camera, and it was just like a conversation like this. But I went in there with the intentions on asking him the difficult questions on the Indigenous issues in Canada and how he's gonna let them be known instead of shoving them underneath the rug.
Fantastic. Well, Safa, tell us, as a young activist for women's rights and for democracy, you have been very active in civil society work, and now you have yet another opportunity to demonstrate this leadership by encouraging more young people. Now, you're coming from the Maldives. The Maldives is a beautiful small island that is usually, whenever we mention the Maldives, we think of climate change and some of these threats, some of the issues that the Maldives face. Now, what message you will bring on behalf of young people in the Maldives and countries who are often, I would say, being put in one category or being debated around one issue, what we should learn about them and how we could engage young people in these places?
Yeah, Maldives is definitely known as the heaven on earth, but beyond this naturally gifted bliss and utopia, we have a contemporary problem rising to the detriment of our economy, and that is the inequality of women. And this is not just about Maldives we're talking about. This is all over the world. When we talk about political leadership, which is my next project, which intends to empower women in political leadership and specifically in decision making. This is not only just a problem in the Maldives, we're a small community. This is a problem all over the world. Yeah. If you really look into the statistics, you can see that the underrepresentation of women is mostly in terms of political leadership and in terms of decision making. And this opportunity, being a UN young leader, more than a recognition, I think that it is an opportunity to take our project to the next level and to really engage young people in this project so that we really can take equality really serious, Yeah.
Well, if you would offer a piece of advice to get more young people to politics, which eventually will contribute to ensuring that we do have a sustained political will to commit to the Sustainable Development Goals, what that advice would be?
Yeah, most definitely, because young people has a bigger role in making decisions, of course, at policy level in the near future. So I believe that, first thing, I really, really believe that we need to come together as young people, I mean, as a community as a whole, to really advocate for these goals. And Women and Democracy, which is my next project, I really believe that democracy, I mean, to promote a sustainable democracy, women has to play a very bigger role. And we cannot leave 50% of our resources, our women, behind. And we really, really need to, take the problem of equality a little bit more serious and drive result-oriented action plans. Yeah.
Well, that's brilliant. Ankit, I just came from the main of the General Assembly, and President Obama was speaking about the power of youth and the need to engage young people. And we always debate how to engage youth. In your case, you have mobilized so many young volunteers who came and joined your movement. If we to build a similar movement for the SDGs at large, what advice you would offer? I mean, how to get young people not only engaged, but really interested in the issues genuinely, and what advice you would offer to young people, but also for all of us who basically struggle to engage young people in more meaningful ways?
Sure. So that's a good question. I'm no expert because I've just been doing this for 2 years. But what I like to say in my opinion is that more than getting to action and just starting to help people out, it's the reinstatement of faith which really gets people to believe that they can contribute to something much bigger in life. And that's what the youth needs today, just believing in something that they can contribute to as big as global problems. I mean, if I go out to a child right now in India who's studying in school and I tell him, can you solve hunger? Most probably he's going to think I'm crazy. And the idea is that we give these people, each citizen, no matter what age, caste, religion, we give these people the power and simple steps to solve global problems like the SDGs. So I probably wouldn't say, I wouldn't tell my volunteers something, I'll ask them a question. I would say, if today, we've thanks to you and the United Nations today, we've actually come together and we've finally defined these 17 global problems. And we know that if we solve these global problems, we will have a better planet. The question is, if world leaders from all around the world can come together, stand on a stage and sign an agreement and say that this is what we need to do, is the youth today stand and not take action? I think that's a real question. And I think that if we believe that we can solve these problems and we take action, results will automatically come. So that's the question I'd ask the youth of today.
Oh, that's exciting. And I want to break the format and ask the audience if you have questions to any of the panelists or the young leaders. If you have, please let me know. Maybe just in one final round, maybe, if you would imagine, this morning we had an interesting event very early in the morning with young leaders and world leaders. And we were talking about that our generation doesn't want to be like 14, 15 years down the road to stand up and just pass on requests to the next generation where, sorry, we couldn't do it. Maybe you'll have a better luck than us. And how do you feel we could communicate more this sense of urgency that what is at stake today is probably one of our last opportunities to meaningfully reverse the climate change and eradicate extreme poverty? And what you would think would be the biggest impediment somehow or challenge that would face us from reaching that vision in 14 years from now? And you're representing different sectors, but I think speaks to the diversity of this agenda and how interconnected this agenda is.
I think it's just if people just don't open their mind and really if they don't relate to them, I think that's going to be our biggest issue. And I'm sure if we can find a one way, one target, something that they can relate to, then they will see the goals and want to implement the goals.
So zoom in and find the one target or one goal what's your favorite? What's your favorite goal?
Gender equality and ending violence against women is one of the targets in that goal.
Wow,
goal
so
number
you
5.
even went to the target, not only the goal. That's very specific. Safa.
Yeah, I would definitely go with number 5 as well, and number 10 as well, to reduce inequality as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure. So since I solve hunger, so I mean, working towards solving hunger, goal number 2 is what aligns with me most. But I see solving hunger as a way where we are able to sort of counter all SDGs, because a child who's getting food can finally get education, can get better healthcare. So, you know, all the SDGs for me, but yeah, goal number 2 better.
Fantastic. Well, this is a sample of the group, ladies and gentlemen. There are 3 out of 17, and 17 out of 18,000 were nominated, and 18,000 out of 1.8 billion young persons who are doing fantastic things in the world today, and they deserve an opportunity to be heard and listened. If there is something we're extremely proud of in this class of young leaders, some of them, they were already known to their communities. Others, I'm sure this opportunity will even further recognize them. I think we are in the business of creating opportunities. We are in the business of making stars of sustainability. And I think you are very well placed to be the stars of leading this journey of sustainability. And again, I think my only advice would be for next year, we should have like a countdown for the SDGs, because we already, some people, I hear them talking about 15 years. They don't know it's only 14 years now. So, and the clock is ticking anyway, and we need really to keep that momentum. So thank you very much, and thanks for the organizers, and the show will continue after a break. Huh?